Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Okay, let's do a time and temperature check. The last I looked, it was 75 degrees outside, but it is very, very windy today, and it feels much cooler than that. My neighbor asked me, she texted me, she was like, "Are you going to go to the pool this evening?" And I was like, it's a little cool to go to the pool. Actually, I met one of my neighbors today. She walks by my house all the time with her dog. And she lives on the other side of the lake, and I'd never met her before. And so I was getting the mail, and so I was talking to her when she was walking by the street, and I was like, "Hey, it's good to see you." She was like, "It's good to see you too." And I was like, "I don't think we've ever met before." And so I met her. She was really, really nice. I try to meet as many of the neighbors as I possibly can. And so she had her fall coat on, like a fleece coat on, and I said, "It's a little cool today." She's like, "Yeah," and I said, "It feels like fall." She's like, "It's really beautiful outside today." It is beautiful, but it's not necessarily pool weather. So the time is 6:57 p.m. I'm getting started on this vlog a little late today. Birds are going crazy down there at the end of the street. It sounds like somebody's walking down the street. And the temperature is currently, I have shorts on and my legs are a little chilly. It says it's 76 and fair, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels much chillier than that. It's actually really good walking weather. My plan is to get a walk in tonight, to start walking again tonight. So hopefully I'm not too tired. Alex came home from work. He got home from work right about 6 o'clock. He got home about an hour ago. And so he was letting Boo Bradley out and stuff like that and fed him. And we were talking for a little bit about, going back. He went back to work today after being off for almost, I think he was off 10 days or something like that. So he was telling me about his day and stuff. And I said, "What are you going to do?" Because I've still got some videos to film and stuff. We can watch TV afterwards. He was like, "I'm so tired. I don't even know that I can watch TV tonight." And I was like, "Oh, are you just going to go upstairs and watch TikToks?" And he was walking upstairs. He's like, So I was just sitting there at the computer and I was working on my videos. I filmed videos on all of my channels today, but we'll get to that in just a second. So, anyway, he was, look at these cute dogs walking down the street. It's a whole family of people. I've never seen them before, and they have two little golden doodle looking dogs, but they look smaller than golden doodles. Anyway, they're cute dogs. But anyway, there's so many people walking down. There's another guy walking down the street. And he used to be on the board. I know him, but I don't know him real well. Anyway, he was looking down at the ground. He didn't look over here. I'm giving you guys all the updates of the street, what's going on the street. The street is very busy. Well, it's cooler tonight. That's probably why everybody's out walking. So anyway, I was sitting at the computer and I was working on videos. I was trying to get these videos up before I started vlogging. And 20 minutes went by. And usually I can hear him. He'll be upstairs going through TikToks and laughing and stuff like that. And I didn't hear anything. And I was like, "What are you doing up there?" And he was like, "Huh?" And I go, "Are you sleeping?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm so comfortable right now laying here with Boo." And I go, "Are you sleeping?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm so tired." He's like, "I'm so comfortable." He's like, "I didn't get very good sleep last night." And I said, "Are you asleep for the night?" He goes, "I don't know, maybe. I think I might be asleep for the night." I was like, "Okay." So I think going back to work after 10 days off, I think he was struggling today. So I don't know. He might be asleep for the rest of the night. I'm going to try to go to bed early tonight. My eyes are real tired today. I'm going to try to go to bed early tonight because Caroline is picking me up tomorrow for Cousin Fun Day instead of Wednesday, because Wednesday she's busy. I think I said that yesterday. So she's picking me up tomorrow, and we're going to do, she put me down from 11 to 3, but I know we don't need 4 hours, so I said 11 to 1. So she's picking me up tomorrow at 11, which means I need to get up and get going by 8:30 or 9 to get Boo ready and take a shower. Well, I probably won't take a shower tomorrow morning. I'll probably just throw on some clothes, because tomorrow night we have therapy, and then I'm going to a meeting with Tanya, so I'll take a shower before then. So I got a busy day tomorrow. Today, I had a busy day as well. I was very, very productive today. I woke up and I made some coffee, and I was sitting out here and talking to some of my neighbors, and I was just like, I could just take the day off and do absolutely nothing, not film one video today. I just was so relaxed. And so last night I watched... Did I take a nap last night? No, I can't even remember if I did or not. What did we do last night? Got done vlogging. I vlogged for almost an hour and a half. It came up to hour and 28 minutes or something like that. I couldn't believe it was so long. But anyway, I got the vlog up last night. and then, or started rendering it. I did lay down for a little bit. Took a nap, and then... Did we watch the other RuPaul's Drag Race, or was that the night before? I can't remember. Gosh, I don't even remember. Oh, Alex was watching Love Island last night. So, I was eating leftovers. What did I watch? I was sitting on the couch and I was watching something. Gosh, I don't even remember now. And then he went upstairs, and that's when I laid down and took a nap. And then I got up and I watched 2 episodes of Sister Wives. I'm like, I have 3 episodes left for season 2. Do you guys think, like, on my Peter Watches TV channel, I should do, like, reviews of each season? I'm thinking about doing, like, a video about me, like, starting watching Sister Wives and talking about the first 2 seasons. And then every season after that, doing, like, my thoughts about the season. There's so many people out there. It was so funny because I got a comment on my video yesterday. So many people straight up just were like, yesterday in my vlog, it was so interesting because I was talking about how, like, people had told me what had happened. There are so many people on the street. Listen to all this going on in the street. I love it. Oh, people are coming this way. My neighbor's coming home from pickleball. Did you win at pickleball? Be nice.
That's what I'm trying to be.
Because I'm recording right now.
No.
You need more competitive people? Okay. He's trying so hard to be nice. He's like looking at... He always said... Because he's like really competitive. Okay. He's like really competitive. And so he's always like, I just wish the people that play pickleball were a little bit more competitive. He was like, I don't feel real challenged. She's played for a long time, and most of the people that play are like newer. And so, oh my God, there were so many people. Here's a couple walking down the street with their kid. He's really nice to all the people in the pickleball team, but he's like, I just wish that there was like, he's like, there was, and I said, so when I talked again about starting pickleball, because the days are different this year, so I thought, well, maybe I'll try pickleball this year. He was like, we need people that know how to play pickleball. I was like, oh my God. He was like, if you want to play, I'll teach you. I was like, I used to play tennis growing up because it's a completely different sport. I go, okay. So whenever he comes back from pickleball, I always ask him how it was, and he always just kind of like looks at me and like cocks his head, because he's like, I just wish it was a little bit, he's like, people don't run a lot for the balls and stuff. He's like, I just wish it was a little bit more competitive. So, but he loves playing it. He plays, I think they're doing 2, or I think they did do 2, I think they're doing 3 days this year, but one of them's like Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. He plays all the days. I didn't think he was, but he said he was. He's playing all the days. So they're doing like Monday night, Wednesday night, and Saturday morning or something like that. He loves it, though. His wife's like, it gets him out of the house 3 days a week to go play pickleball. So she was like, if they didn't have it, he wouldn't be playing it. But anyway, so I got up last night and I talked on the phone for a little bit. And then I watched 2 episodes of Sister Wives. So that's what I was asking, like, if I should do videos of each season of Sister Wives. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Like, as I'm talking, I'm remembering what I was going to say. I said in my video yesterday that people, and I don't know if like now it's like people are doing it. I will say this, I have spoiled some TV shows, but I have literally never spoiled a TV show like this. I said it in my video yesterday that I kind of like hinted at that people were telling me stuff about the show. And then literally people in comments yesterday on the video, it was more than one, it was several people, literally said exactly what had happened, exactly, I mean, full paragraphs. I was like, I said in there I didn't want their show ruined for me. And it was so sweet. Somebody left a comment and they said, I know everybody is like ruining the show for you, but don't let it ruin for you. You've got to watch it in real time because you just can't like believe it even if you're seeing it. I'm not going to let it. I mean, I know most of what happens. I knew that none of the wives really were with him anymore except for one. I just didn't know which one was with him. I went in last night actually because everybody did ruin it for me, and they told me that none of the wives are with him except for Robin, and they told me everything else that was going on in the comment section yesterday. So I started looking up everybody last night. It's interesting, like, Robin follows Janelle. She follows all the wives and Cody. None of the other wives follow Cody anymore. Robin's the only one that's with Cody still. And and then Janelle and Christine still follow each other, but they don't follow Mary or Robin, and they don't follow Cody, and Mary doesn't follow any of them. So I don't know, there must be some huge fallout between the wives. I will say right now, like, I know that it gets very, very dramatic. The episodes I just finished were the Christmas episodes of season 2, when they get the cabin and they're talking about moving to another state and stuff like that because they're under investigation for polygamy. It seems to be like these are like the innocent years of it, because I know it gets like really ugly towards the end between all of them. I mean, I've read enough through the years and watched some videos and kept up with it a little bit that I know some of it about the show. It's not like anybody could really fully ruin it for me, so if you said some things in the comments, I'm jokingly saying that. Because I didn't know a lot of like what had happened and all that kind of stuff, but I just didn't know how it played out like on the show, whatever. But that's not going to stop me from watching it. I'm very intrigued with it. It gets a little boring because the thing is that, like I said yesterday, like once you buy into the show, like the idea of it, like you stop being like, this is so bizarre how they live, and you just kind of like look at it as like, okay, this is normal for them. Then it's really just a show about a family doing like Christmas and Halloween, but it seems kind of like the calm before the storm. Like these are the innocent years of it, because I know that it does get like ugly down the road. I just don't know like the specifics of it and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I watched 2 episodes of Sister Wives last night, and then I had episode 2, 3, and 4. I think I had those. I started episode 2, but then I had to go back and rewatch it. Episodes 2, 3, and 4 of The Worst Roommate Ever, which I did my review of that over my Peter Watches TV channel today. So I watched those. But like halfway through it, something on one of the shows, I can't remember. So Caroline and I have been talking a little bit more about our grandma and our mom's history a little bit. And kind of tossing this idea around. I'm not going to come out and say that we're definitely going to do it, because if I say it, then it'll never happen. But we've kind of been tossing the idea around of doing like a podcast or doing like a video series or whatever. I definitely am more interested in it than Caroline is, but Caroline's getting more interested in it. Like when I bring it up, she's more interested in like the history of our mother. So last night I started looking into it. And I was like, I want to find out some stuff about this, right? And so I was like looking into it and whatever. It's so interesting, like what you, like, a lot of the stuff that I was looking up, like marriages and divorces and all this kind of stuff, like you can't find any of it whatsoever. So I started like writing down what I did know. I feel like I need to have an area. Like I'm going to talk to Caroline about this tomorrow if we're going to really pursue it. If she has no interest in it, I'm going to pursue it on my own because I am interested in it. But I feel like I need to have like an area, almost like, what do they call it, like a crime board or something, where I like put up everything I know, because it all kind of like interacts a little bit. So here's the story. Somebody emailed me when they looked into some stuff about my grandma, and they were like, her grandma was married all these different times, and like they said like, go her, and all this kind of stuff. I was like, my grandma was married twice. Unless there's something I don't know about my grandma was only married twice. I know that I feel like I know that for a fact. Unless there's something that I completely don't know, which in all honesty, that could be the case. I mean, there's a lot that they never told Caroline and I. Here's the other piece to it. My dad and Caroline's dad were really, really close with our grandma, our mom's mom. Really close. Like, probably closer than our moms were at the end of her life. And my grandma really got along with men better. My mom would always say that she preferred the company of men over women. Like, my grandma always loved to be, like, around men, talking to men and stuff like that. And she really trusted my dad and my Uncle Dave a lot. I'm not entirely sure. Caroline said that her dad didn't know anything about it or never brought it up. I'm not entirely sure that that's true, but that he just never said anything to her. And Caroline's not like me. I mean, she wasn't asking a bunch of questions. I asked her mom. Caroline, her mom never even had the conversation. I had the conversation with my Aunt Kathy. But when I asked my dad, because I was looking last night, one of Caroline's friends found the court record of our grandma. So our grandma was, I have it right here, her sentencing was in 1965 for the one, she went to prison twice, but this is the main one, and yeah, 1 to 5 year term in forgery case. She was forging like thousands of dollars worth of checks from this company that she used to work at that no longer exists, and it was January of 1965. So, my mom graduated in 61. She went to IU for 4 years. and then my aunt and uncle got married in 67, or 66, and my mom and dad got married in 68, okay? Or no, my aunt and uncle got married in, hold on, I have it all written down. Yeah, they got married, so my aunt and uncle got married in November of 66. My mom and dad got married in June of 68. So, I know my mom's wedding pictures. I have memories of them. I mean, I could go down the basement and look for them. Where she has, like, it's my grandma, like, holding up the veil. Like, there's pictures at the wedding of that. It's like Susie and my grandma. Because Susie was my mom's maid of honor. Well, I think she was my mom's matron of honor. Because Susie was married first. And then my aunt was her maid of honor. And so, it's like Susie and or maybe it's my grandma, both my grandmas holding up like my mom's veil or something like that. It's like I can see that picture, but my grandma's in my mom's pictures of her wedding. I don't know if my grandma was in Caroline's parents' pictures, which would have been 66. Unless she got like, which I don't know that they would have done back then, unless she got like a release from prison to attend their weddings, or unless she was on parole at that time. It just seems bizarre to me that she got a 1 to 5 year sentence in 65. My aunt and uncle got married in 66. Caroline said the last time, she was like, I'll have to look at their pictures. I don't remember if grandma was in their pictures or not. I feel like I've seen enough of my aunt and uncle's pictures and I don't remember if my grandma was there or not. But what's weird is that when I talked to my dad originally about it, the last couple times I've asked, oh my God, the tripod fell already. The last couple times that I've asked my dad about the situation with my grandma. So the whole thing came from my dad. I asked my dad after my mom passed away. It was Alex and I had gone out there one day, and I said, did mom have any secrets? And he was like, no, not really. She didn't really have any secrets. She had so many secrets. She had so many. I don't think my dad knew them. You know, they've been divorced for so long. I don't think my dad really knew. I don't think my mom started finding stuff out till later in life. Or I don't think because I read some letters that she wrote to like her aunt and uncle and stuff like that, and I don't know that she really knew, like understood it fully. Maybe until after my parents were divorced and whatever. But my dad said, before we got married, your mom told me that your grandma had gone to prison. Now, at that time, the reason why I believed it was when they were little was because my dad made it sound like it was something that had happened so long before. The last couple times I've asked my dad about stuff, my dad's just been kind of like, I don't really remember how it all happened, whatever. But he was really close with my grandma. I'm not, like, when he told me, he said, the reason why your mom and Kathy never wanted you to know is they didn't want you to look badly at your grandma. My dad might still hold to that today. I mean, my dad's a very principle-oriented, ethical person. Like, if he thought there were things that our moms didn't want Caroline and I to know, to look badly on our grandma, which we wouldn't, you know? Like, I mean, I think we would look at it with an honest eye, but I don't think it would make us, like, I don't know. But anyway, unless there's more to the story that we really don't know. And so, he just acts like he doesn't really remember anything. But at that time, what he said was, well, your mom, like, before we got married, now mind you, they got married in 68. My grandma got a 1 to 5 year sentence in 65. So it would have been only 3 years before that she was sentenced. My dad was like, before we got married, your mom told me that, you know, grandma had gone to prison and whatever. And I was like, oh, but he made it sound like it was like so much earlier, but he would have known. My dad and my grandma were really, really close. So I almost kind of wonder if, like, and I'm not going to push my dad on it. I'm just not, like, I think he's told me what he's going to tell me, you know, kind of thing. Or maybe he really doesn't know. I don't know, you know, like, I feel like the one person that knew was my aunt, because when I did kind of push my aunt on it, I remember we were out to lunch, and I did kind of ask her some questions about it, and she told me, like, a few things. Like, that's how I found out that, like, they had gone to Florida for the whole summer. My dad didn't even know that. Like, he didn't even know that they had gone to Florida for, I said something to him about that. He's like, if they did, I didn't know about that. And I don't think, I mean, my dad's not a liar. So, like, I mean, he just doesn't, you know, so. But anyway, when I started lining up the dates last night, I started putting this together in my notes app, and I started lining up the dates of, like, there's so much that's interesting. about like stories that were told to us and how they're different. Like, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, you know, all these people are gone now. It doesn't really matter. And it's not my dad's family. It's my family. So, you know, out of protection, he'd be like, if I'd said something to my dad would be like, it's your story to tell. It's not mine. So tell whatever you want to tell. But I'm not entirely sure that my grandma wasn't pregnant with my Aunt Kathy when they got married. My aunt's birthday was in January and they got married in the year before. I just don't know the date. And so, not that that would matter. I just think in the early 1940s, that would have been a huge deal. Also, my mom and my aunt are very, very close in age. And then, so that there's the whole, like, Department of Corrections, the whole prison situation. The prison sentence, so I was always told from my dad and then my grandma, or my dad and my aunt, that my grandma went to prison for embezzlement. But on the court case, it says forgery, which are two completely different things. I mean, they're of the same nature, but I don't think you would, I mean, I think so that makes me think there were two different cases. The other thing that's interesting, I don't know why this never occurred to me. I mean, maybe it did before. I probably said it in a video, but like, I haven't really like put it together and thought about it till last night. It was like the first time that I really like, okay, I want to like look into this again. Was that my mom's stepdad, they got married when my mom was like in middle school. My mom, she could not stand him. She hated him. And so did my aunt. They got married when my mom was like in middle school. But Caroline and I remember him. And, like, it was this really bad situation that happened. Like, I think he got physical with my grandma or something. I remember, like, some conversation with my mom and my aunt and me just kind of overhearing it. All I know is that one day he was there and the next day he wasn't. But Caroline and I were very young. We were probably, like, at, like, 5 and 8 or something. I mean, I remember him. Caroline remembers him. Like, when we've talked about him, we remember him. The weird thing is, I can't find anything online about this man. Like, nothing. Can't find a birth. I can't find anything that even existed. I know where he's from because he's from California. I know everything about him. My mom used to tell stories because my mom didn't like him like when she was younger, but like in college, he like, and this is the other weird thing. So I'm like, okay, so they were married when my grandma went to prison, like because Caroline and I were born after that, and we remember. So he like was with her the whole time. Like he knew that he had to have known that she was doing those things, right? Like that whole part of it is so bizarre to me. I mean, not that you divorce somebody just because they go to prison, but like it's that so much was left out. I mean, like we didn't know any of these stories, right? And like my mom, I can remember her saying something about Parents' Weekend at the Pie Fight house, because my mom and my aunt were both Pie Fies, and that her stepdad came. So my mom and my aunt, their dad died when they were like 4 and 6. And so, well, that was weird too, because I found some of his last night. Well, I found it before, but I was looking at it again last night. My mom and my aunt had always said that he like died of lung cancer, and he had lung cancer for a long time, and then like at like the last couple weeks, like they remembered it like him getting really sick. That's not what the records say. The records say that he was sick for 2 weeks and then he passed away. Like, and it was like immediate, like what happened, which could be the case with lung cancer if it was caught too close. But he was 40. He had just turned 40. So I don't know. My dad, like, is always so protective of it. Like, he's like, you know, your grandma was, like, a single grandma. She was trying to take care of her girls. But then, that's what my dad said, which makes me think that, because then my mom would say, we were fostered out to family members. When I said that to my aunt goes, that's true. We did go stay with we did go stay with families, like, in the summers and stuff, because mother would say that you could only rent certain apartments if you didn't have kids back, like, in the 40s and the 50s. But she said, but we were also in the foster care system. When my dad said that to me, like that's the one thing when my dad said, your grandma was a single woman that was trying to do the best for her daughters. Well, at the time that she was arrested, she wasn't single. She was married to my grandfather. My dad's like, I don't really remember the specifics when I ask him. He's like, your mom and I never talked about it except for that one time. Like, I never talked to your grandma about it. I never talked to your Aunt Kathy about it. Like, we never talked about it. My Aunt Susie is like, oh, I knew about it. Like, we talked about it. Your mom and I talked about it. Like, through the years, like, until she was older, we talked about it. But she doesn't know specifics of it. I almost feel like my grandma went to prison when she was when my mom and my aunt were younger, and then she went to prison again, like, later. or something. I don't understand like the connection between all of it. So anyway, I'm looking all this stuff up. Well, so the things that we're interested in are this, is that, well, the things I'm interested in, but Caroline is as well. Like, when were our mothers in foster care? Because my mother was tormented by that for her entire life. I mean, she insinuated that a lot of really horrible things happened to her while she was fostered out to families. But then my aunt said that stuff didn't happen to my mom while she was with family members. That stuff happened with my mom when they were separated in foster care. They were separated. My aunt said that. Caroline did know that, because Caroline would say, no, our mothers were in foster care. They weren't I don't know why my mom used that word. I don't know why. I don't know. It's so weird. And so that's the one thing, is I want to find out when they were and where they, like, and how long were they in foster care for and things like that. I do think it's interesting in retrospect. Like, my mom, I feel like, told bits and pieces of the story. Like, she'd say, I went to 12 different schools in 12 years. My aunt would say the same thing, but they didn't, because like they went their freshman through senior year, they both went to the same high school. So it must have been 12 different schools in 12 years, but like some years they went to 3 different schools. Well, if they were in different foster care homes, that would make sense when they were younger, or if my grandma moved around a lot. So that's the one thing, is the foster care situation I want to find out about. The other thing is I want to find out about my grandma's incarcerations, and also the dates of her weddings and divorces and stuff like that, because I can't find any of that kind of stuff. The third thing is, okay, so when my mom was in high school, her freshman year, there was somebody, I think I've told this story on here before, anyway, there was somebody that my mom went to school with, and my mom's friend Diane, that lived on Beaver Island the rest of her life, was her best friend, died 3 years before her. Diane swore that my mom and this guy were twins, that they were fraternal twins, because they looked so much alike. I looked at the pictures back. I can remember Diane pulling out the yearbooks, and I'd be like, oh yeah, they look a lot alike, and stuff like that, right? And so, but that would have always been kind of like this mystery that I thought maybe there's a little bit of truth to, maybe there's not. Toward the end of Diane's life, at one point, well, maybe not. Maybe it would have been about 10 or 15 years before Diane passed away. She told my mom that, so this guy was adopted, and his family here in Indianapolis was like involved in like this huge scandal. It was huge, like national level scandal. And so he ended up not going to that school and going to a different school. And so my mom kind of like never, like there was never anything that happened with that. But he stayed friends with Diane his entire life. And so Diane told my mom that, and he was adopted, and that he got his adoption records, and they were within like 3 days of my mom's birthday. And my mom just was like, whatever. I remember asking, my mom and I and Caroline were in the back seat. Oh, this would have been, Diane would have told my mom that when I was like in high school, because we were in the back seat. My aunt and uncle were in the front seat. My uncle was driving. We were coming back from like midnight mass on Christmas Eve. And I was telling the story because my mom had just found out from Diane, because what she said was he came to visit the island and he told her that. And, but like, I guess the adoption was locked other than that. So all I could find out was like his birthday within 3 or 4 days or something like that. And so Diane was like, see, I told you, you guys were like twins. His birthday is within 3 days of your birthday or something like that, same year and everything. So I said something, I was telling the story. My aunt was getting very frustrated with it. And I remember like she said something, and my mom goes, Kathy, whatever you know, like you need to tell me. Like this is about my life. And I'll never forget, my aunt turned around, she was pissed. And she said, whatever secrets mother had, she died with. And that was like the last time we ever talked about it. I don't know if my mom and my aunt had some conversation after that, but like my mom never wanted to talk about it again. She got real weird if I would ever bring it up. She didn't like talking about it. So that's the other mystery that I've always wondered, right? Well, so I put up this plan. I was like, I'm going to find this stuff out. Like I really, like I've tried to find out and call people, whatever, but I haven't like really followed through with it. So today, on top of making 7 videos, I also called the Department of Family Services. Everybody was so nice when I explained to them what I was trying to find out. I was really surprised. I kind of thought like, oh, these are people that, you know, like they probably get these stupid calls all the time. Everybody was super, super nice. I called the Division of Family Services. Caroline and I have to go down there to find out the foster care records. We actually can obtain the records, but we have to show death certificates, and we also have to show our relation to our mothers. Caroline and I both have to go down there. I can do it for my mom. Caroline can do it for her mom, but I can't get it for my Aunt Kathy. We have to both go down there, but we can get the foster care records. We can also find the marriage records, the divorce records. They're all in microfiche. This woman was explaining the whole thing to me. She's like, this is going to be a couple hours if you guys come down here. She was like, but no, we can like find all this stuff, information out for you. So then I said something to her about the Department of Corrections and my grandma's like her prison. Like I would like be interested to see her records of when she was in prison. And once they're deceased, you're allowed like those, you can find those records. And she said, well, I'm not the one to help you with those. You'd have to like call this person. So I called this person. They put me over through this person, the other person. They were all really nice, but they put me through this other person. And basically I have to go down and submit a written request for these records because they're closed documents. I don't know why they're closed documents. Somebody, like when I talked about this on the vlog, like they were real nervous to say that maybe the reasons why our moms were in Florida during like that time, which this is weird because when I said that to my aunt goes, I said, how did you guys afford it? She goes, I don't know, I'm probably on grandma's stolen money. But they would have gone to Florida before my grandma got arrested. So at that point, my grandma would have had to have a lot of money coming in and would have told my mom and my aunt, you need to go to Florida for the summer. I don't know why that would have happened. They wouldn't have come home. I mean, my mother never spoke of it her entire life. She'd never gone to South Florida. So it's so bizarre to me. Like this whole thing is like this weird mystery that I don't even know why they kept a mystery, right? Unless there's more to the story than we don't know. But that would have happened before my grandma was arrested. So I don't know why she would have told them to go to Florida. And why my mother concocted this entire story saying she went to Hyannis Port and worked in the summers there, when instead she and my aunt were in Florida for I think it was more than one summer now. You know? So that's so bizarre to me. But somebody insinuated on a vlog, and they were like, maybe your grandma was in prostitution, or maybe she was like, they were part of the mob. I haven't completely ruled out that my grandmother wasn't working for the mob. I don't know, because some of the things that, hey, how are you? Some of the things that are like insinuated kind of seem like that a little bit. And maybe not just for like a year or two, but like for 20 years. Like it could have been like that. I mean, my grandmother was a bookkeeper. And when I started looking into this, she worked for several different companies that it would like, I don't know. But so anyway, I started looking into this possible twin of my mom's last night. And I mean, I saw pictures. I mean, I'd seen the yearbook picture, but I saw pictures of him when he was younger. It's uncanny. I mean, it's uncanny of like him at like 17 and my mom at 17. I mean, the pictures are like identical. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable. And then I found pictures of him like 10 years ago, like when my mom, like after she had passed away. It's uncanny. I mean, they look identical. It's unbelievable. Like their noses, their eyes. I mean, he has my eyes. It's weird. It's like looking into a family member. So I contacted somebody that I think knows him, and so I'm trying to get in contact with him. Getting in contact with the Department of Corrections, all this kind of stuff. I will say this, before my mom died, there was a moment, and I've shared this on here before, when I was at the hospital and I knew things were really bad. And I went home that night, and it's so bizarre because ever since my grandma's passed away, I almost kind of felt like she was like a guardian angel over me a little bit. Like I've always kind of felt that way with my grandma. I don't know why. My grandma and I were close, but we weren't like, I mean, it wasn't like, she was young when I died. I was 13 when she passed away. And other than holidays, those last couple years, when I was real young, I used to spend a lot of time with her, you know? But like those last couple years, holidays, some weekends, she would come over and stay with us. But it wasn't like I saw her all the time. Caroline did, because Caroline was cleaning her apartment. It was so funny because Caroline and I were driving around the other day, and she said something about, there's grandma's last apartment. I go, and it's like literally 5 minutes from me, you guys. And I go, I thought her apartment was over here. Grandma goes, no, or Caroline goes, no, this is where I used to clean her apartment, right over here. I go, right over here? Has a sign out front that says, if you lived here, you'd be home. I was like, Grandma lived in here? She goes, you don't remember that? I was like, I did not know that this was where Grandma lived. She was like, yeah, that's why I cleaned her apartment, because it was so close to where I lived. I was like, oh, okay. So when my mom got sick before she died, there was this moment that I went home, and I remember I just like curled like up in bed. and I've shared this, I think, on here before, that I had this feeling that my grandma was saying to me, be strong, you're going to need it. Something to that effect. Like, I just felt like my grandma was, like, speaking to me in that moment. Last night when I was looking into this stuff, not about my mom and my aunt. I think my mom and my aunt always, like, did stuff. Here's two neighbors saying hi to each other as they cross paths. Oh, here's my favorite neighbor. Oh, it's just him. It's not his wife. I saw you on your bike yesterday.
You what?
I saw you on your bike yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen you riding around here before.
Oh, yeah, I've been running for a long, long time.
Aww.
That's why I used to run around, try to go down to the pool and check on something, so I take my bike, little trips like that around here.
It's beautiful today, isn't it?
Oh, perfect, perfect. We got another nice one tomorrow.
Is it supposed to be hot tomorrow?
Yeah, but not too bad.
Okay, good. It's a little cool for the pool. I'm waiting for it to get warm for the pool.
It is.
Did he get a haircut?
He did, yeah.
Aw, he looks so nice.
I think he did a good job.
Aw, he looks great. By the way, with my neighbor and the dog yesterday, like as soon as I finished the vlog, like I went around the corner and she was coming out the door. She was like, I don't know. She just got out. I was like getting ready to take her for a walk, and she just like, she got right away from the leash. Anyway, last night when I was looking into this stuff, not about my mom and my aunt, because they've always been like they were always such protectors of my grandma. I feel like my aunt like knew everything. I feel like, because my mom would always say that, like, my grandma would say to my aunt, you've got to take care of her. Like, she would call my mom sister. She would say, you've got to take care of sister. And, like, I feel like that was my aunt's role in her life, was that she always had to take care of my mom. And I think part of that was sheltering her from knowing the truth about things. I think my mom didn't really know a lot of what... I mean, I'm sure she knew she went to prison and things like that, but I don't think she knew the details of a lot of it. I think my mom was the kind of person that if she did, she would want to find out the truth about stuff. I mean, she and I were very similar in that way. I don't think, because of some of the letters that I've read to her, like aunts and stuff like that, I don't think she knew until later, like the truth of some of it. Like maybe like the foster care. Maybe my aunt just let her believe that she was fostered out to families, and then later one day said, no, we were in foster care. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's how that happened. But I have this feeling last night, I was like looking into this stuff, and I had this moment where I felt like my grandma was speaking right to me, and she was like, be careful what you look for, because you might find out things you don't want to find out about her, is what I felt like she was saying. Like, I don't know, you know, I don't know what I'm going to find. I feel at this point, like, even talking about it on here, like, I'm intrigued by it, but I'm kind of like, I still feel, I find myself being kind of like a little protective about all of it, and I don't really know, like, what the reason why is. Like, literally, Caroline and I are the only ones left. There's nobody. None of their cousins, none of their aunts, their uncles, nobody. It's Caroline and I. We're literally the end. And so, Caroline doesn't care. Caroline's like, find out as much as you want about it, you know? The last time I asked her about it, when I talked about kind of doing a podcast or something, she's like, oh yeah, I think that would be really, really interesting. Caroline's the one that asks a lot if we want to go to Grandma's gravestone. I don't know, it's just like, when I look back on my grandma's story and things that my mom told me, and that my grandma had this stepmom. So my grandma's mom died when my grandma was like 12 or 13 or something, and she had to basically raise her brothers and sisters. She had 3, and she like worked in high school and things like that. I mean, this is like, you guys have to remember, this is like the 30s, like the 20s and the 30s, and like when she graduated, like she didn't get along with her stepmother at all, and when she graduated, she like bought herself a graduation dress and had saved the money for it and stuff and had it in a box in the bed, and when she came home, her stepmother had like cut it up into bits and pieces. And so after graduation, my grandma moved out right away. I don't know how my grandma and my grandpa met. I've never, like, that story I've never heard. I don't know. I do know that he was a bartender for this bar called the Thunderbird in Indianapolis, and that he was kind of like, my grandfather was kind of like all-star tennis player and very tall and very good looking and things like that. There's a bunch of people walking down the street tonight. This is like crazy town. I'm kind of living for it, honestly. It's so fun. So, hey. And so it's just interesting to me when I look at the stories, because it's like the pieces that are left out and then the pieces that I was told, I don't know how much that's true, you know? And so, yeah, I just don't know. There's like so many people walking down the street that I've never in my life seen before here. It's like, what is going on today? It's like Night of the Living Dead. It's like all these people are walking down the street that I've never seen before in my entire life. Anyway, I mean, I walk all over the neighborhoods all around here, and people are probably like, I've never seen this person before. But I do kind of like walk the same route a little bit most nights when I walk. But anyway, I don't know. I'm just like super intrigued with it. To me, it is kind of a true crime mystery a little bit, because with the Department of Corrections situation, I don't know. Even as I'm saying it, like there are things I know that I have found that I'm being protective of until I know the whole story, because I feel like I don't really want to say it until I know the whole story. I think that's it for me. Like, it's like I have this piece and then this is missing, and then I have this piece and then this is missing. And like I have a memory of my grandma taking Caroline and I to go see Raggedy Ann and Andy, and I can remember her saying, I'm going to be gone for a while. Caroline doesn't remember this. Caroline hardly remembers anything. It's interesting that she remembers our step-grandfather, because I hardly remember him. Hey, I hardly remember him, but like Caroline remembers him. She's like, oh, I remember him like being there and whatever. I don't remember him I mean, I remember him kind of being there, but like hardly at all. I mean, if I close my eyes, I can see him in their old house that they used to live in, which is like 10 minutes from here, but like barely. My dad totally remembers him, that's another thing is that my dad like really remembers him and like meeting him for the first time and stuff, but like doesn't remember meeting, like when I asked him like when was the first time you met grandma, I don't remember, but he totally remembers meeting my step grandfather for the first time. I don't know. I really, to be honest with you, I don't know. My mom would always say your grandma was very good with numbers. I don't know if that means that she like worked for the mob running numbers or doing something illegal. And that would be my mom's way of saying that to me. And she would think that she was telling me the truth, but she was kind of, you know, like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know. I don't know. I know some people are probably like, why do you even care? It's interesting to me. It's like, I don't know my history at all, you know? Like, my dad's side of my family, like, I know this stuff. Like, I mean, they have told stories, but like, when I look back, it's like, I feel like my mom and my aunt told a lot of stories about their childhood, but then when I was thinking about it last night, I was like, they really didn't. Like, my mom would share, like, specific stories over and over and over again, but there were a lot of stories she wouldn't share. I mean, like, my mom would say things like, oh, we were so poor, and you know, we would go see a movie, and then, because we couldn't go see another movie for a month, like, Kathy and I, like, singing in the rain. Like, Kathy and I would, like, be out in the yard with umbrellas, and we would just, like, play act these musicals, because we loved musicals so much. But, like, she would tell that story a lot. She wouldn't, like, it wasn't like she told tons of stories, you know? The other thing that's interesting is, like, the house that my mom drove us by, like, when she said, like, when Caroline and I found the address that my grandma, like, is listed on her arrest, and we drove by it, I think I showed that in a vlog. The house that my mom and I drove by that she said she lived in high school, I don't feel like it's the same house. Like, on that vlog, I said, like, oh, they were sitting upstairs, but, like, the more I think about it, it's like, I feel like it's a completely different house. The more I've thought about it since Caroline and I did that, I was like, I don't know that I think this is the same house. But then I would have to find, like, records of my mom, which she probably kept. My mom kept everything. I have boxes of my mom's crap in the basement. This is the other thing is, I'm going to have to start going through the journals and I haven't read all of her journals and reading the journals. I mean, there might be information that's right there that she wrote down that I'm just not aware of. You know, my mom said that I'll never forget this. She said to me, when she said she used to go spend her summers in Hyannisport, she said that she met this gay guy there and they used to write letters back and forth. And she's like, everything that you need to know about my childhood and growing up is all in those letters. It's in the basement. You'll find it one day when I'm gone. Well, when she passed away, I didn't find those letters. What I found was her writing letters to the guy that she was dating in Florida. Then I kind of went off on that wild goose chase because I was like, okay, so she's, you know, she lied about that. I don't know why she would have. Well, now I know because she didn't want us to know that Grandma had gone to prison. But I feel like, I mean, my mom has so many journals, so many pieces of paper stuck here and there that, like, I mean, she could have written pieces of her life down that I just haven't stumbled across yet. I don't know. I'm going to go down there, I think, later tonight, and I'm going to pull out all the journals. I'm going to start going through them one by one and seeing what I can find and whatever. I don't know. I'm real interested in doing this. You know? Maybe this is my next big project for personally, you know, not just on video. Obviously, I'll do updates, but so yeah, so Caroline and I are going to have to pick a day and go to these places and just, we're going to have to find it. I mean, I think all of this stuff is obtainable, but yeah. It's interesting, like, in my personal life, when I tell some people are real intrigued with it. They're like, oh my God, if that was my grandma and that was my mom, like, I would have to know. And other people are just like, I don't know why you're interested in it at all. Like, I could care less. I'm interested to know, like, if it was in your family, would you want to know, or would you just be like, I could care less? Like, my dad's very much of the attitude, like, just let it go. Like, it just is what it is. But then that almost kind of makes me wonder, like, what is there that I don't know? You know what I mean? I don't know. My aunt always wanted me to help her work on this book. So my aunt was president of the Junior League here in Indianapolis. And she always wanted me to help her work on this book. And she would say to me different titles at different times. And she would say things to me like, daughter of this, like, to president of the Junior League or whatever, like that would be the title. She would come up with these, she would think they were so funny. The camera stopped. I feel like at one point, my aunt said something to me like mob daughter to, like, president of the Junior League. Like, I don't know why. I feel like she said something like that. And I can remember being like, oh, Aunt Kathy. Because this was before I knew anything, right? She's like, oh, yeah, well, she just, like, laughed or whatever. I don't know. Like, the whole thing is, like, so weird to me. And, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like three different stories. They're separate. Like, my grandma and, like, her incarceration and, like, it's not just that I'm interested in knowing, like, her like, the trials from the court and things like that. I mean, it says on the thing that witnesses testified. I mean, this was a big trial. Like, there was a whole article written about it. I mean, it was a big trial. That one, I don't know how many, I mean, maybe she went to prison 3 times. Maybe it was when my mom and her were younger. Maybe it was then, and then maybe it was when Caroline and I were older. I do also remember my grandma's retirement party from this place that she worked in Indianapolis. And so she must have left there on good terms. Caroline ended up working there. It was the athletic department in Indianapolis. It was like a sports store. I remember going to her graduation party. I was just a kid. I was probably like 8 or something like that when she retired. So I don't know. But, like, that's one story. And then, but I would also like to know, like, the records of, like, how long she was in prison and when she got out. Like, where did she live and was she on parole and things like that. And, you know, like, is her parole officer still alive? Like, could I talk to her? Would they talk to me? And things like that. I mean, the person's deceased now, you know, maybe they would. I don't know. Maybe they can't. Maybe I have no idea. But then also, like, you know, like, who was my grandma's cellmate? Like, I know she was at Indiana Women's Prison, you know, like, I don't know. The thing is, my grandma would be, I mean, she would be over 100 now. I think she was born, I looked it up, 1918, I think my grandma was born. So if she was born in 1918, then she would be like 105. Yeah, I think it should be 105. It doesn't say on here, but, and then she was born in 1918. So she would be 105. So even people that would have been like 20 years younger than her, that would have known her, even 30 years younger than her, would be 70 or 80 at this point. Like, so the chance of anybody being around that like knew my grandma or lived with my grandma or whatever, like, is not likely, you know? So finding information is going to be hard, I think, because I would really like to talk to somebody that knew her, but the other thing is that my grandma had this connection with this city here in Indianapolis, and my mom never told me how she had the connection there. And the city was Tell City. It's like this real small town in Indianapolis, and my grandma would go there like 3 times a year and visit. And I don't know who lived there. It was like friends of my grandma's, because my mom, like, after she passed away, she found like Christmas presents for them. And my mom was like, oh, she never made it back to Tell City. But like grandma, I would say something like to my mom, like, where grandma go, oh, Tell City. But she would never, like, I've even joked about it in videos and been like Holiday Inn in Tell City, like, you know, somebody being at, you know, middle of nowhere, take a vacation there. I don't know where Tell City is. I've never heard of it before, but my grandma, like, spent a lot of time in Tell City. I don't know what it is about Tell City. I don't know. I've never heard of it before. I should look it up right now. I'll look it up later, but there's all these things I keep on remembering that my mom told me, or that my aunt didn't really tell me. My mom told me that I would remember, you know? I don't know. I just feel like there's so much more to the story than I know. And like I said, I had last night this inclination, like, be careful what you want to find out, because you might find out some things about your grandma that you don't want to know. It's kind of the feeling that I had last night. I don't know, you know? Anyway. I think I would be interested in anything to do with this, you know? My grandfather on my dad's side being a homicide detective, I'm just as interested in that. The thing is that I know all the stories. Like, my aunts have told me all the stories, you know? My cousins know all the stories. So I know all that with my dad's family, you know? Being in World War II and coming home and all that kind of stuff. Like, I know those stories. Like, they tell those stories every time they get together. My mom and my aunt were very closed about their childhood. Like, they didn't tell a lot. Like, I don't know where they lived after my grandfather died or how they lived. Like, that, like, between then and when my grandma got remarried, like, they didn't tell any stories. Except for, like, singing in the rain. Like, that's the only stories they told. And then it flashed forward to high school, and them eating, like, tuna fish salad sandwiches on the roof after they would go out on a Friday night. Like, it's stories like that. Like, they never told us, like, we spent time. I remember, like, going with my mom to my grandma's sister's apartment. And, like, we went there, and I remember my mom... See, the thing is, like, I wasn't on cue to, like, think about these things at that time because I didn't have that information, so I wasn't, like, listening to the stories. But I remember she and my mom got into it. My mom asked her something, and she was like, I don't want to talk about this. And my mom kept on asking her, and finally my mom was like, come on, let's go. I think I would have been in, like, late junior high or early high school at that point. I can see, and then she died right after that. She died like a year after that. And that was my grandma's last sibling that was alive. And all of her siblings are gone. All the cousins are gone. I mean, yeah. It was weird when I found some stuff about my grandma's dad. And when he died, he lived in Marion, Indiana, which is like 3 hours north. I used to go to Grant County and do, like, assessments for the Department of Corrections. It's like really, it's like as north as you can get in Indiana. And then Fairmount is where, like, James Dean is from. My friend grew up in Fairmount, Indiana. But he was buried in Crown Hill Cemetery, which is so weird because Crown Hill Cemetery at that time was, like, I mean, it's like the biggest cemetery in Indianapolis. It's where, like, all, like, the dignitaries and, like, the people. It's so weird that, like, why was he living there and he was buried? I mean, there's so many stories that I don't know, like, about my grandma and her childhood. I don't know, like, is anybody else interested in this? My neighbor next door, he's really interested in ancestry, and he told me he would help with some of this kind of stuff. The thing is like, I did all that for a while. All the hits are always on my dad's side of the family. It's never that. I did the 23andMe. It's like fourth cousins. It's me and Caroline and fourth cousins. So I don't think anybody has come through, because I was thinking about that last night. I was like, well, if my mom did have a twin brother, you would think somebody from that side that, like, that would hit, right? Nothing. So I don't know. Maybe, like, those people have never registered, or maybe there's no truth to it. Maybe there's no truth to it at all, and I'm just seeing what I want to see. I don't know. But there's not much, this is going to sound so crazy, but there's not much in this world, like I used to talk about bucket lists, that I feel like I really, there's not much that I feel like in this world that I really, like, if I don't do, like, I'm going to be really upset. Like, if I don't go here, like, I would, like, be in my life, you know? I used to say if I never wrote a book, and it was never even about publishing a book, it was about finishing the book, you know? That was one of the things. I was like, I always wanted to write and finish a book in my life, right? There's not a lot in my life that I really care. Like, if I don't complete, like, I have such a content life, and I'm so happy with my life. But this is, like, one thing that I really do, like, I want to know these answers. And I don't really know why it's that important to me. The thing is, and this is, like, I am very protective of my mom. My mom, like, really struggled in her life. I don't think that my mom knew a lot about her childhood. One of the things that Caroline and I have talked about is we don't understand why they kept certain things from us, because it would have explained so much of, like, how our moms were and things like that. My mom would say things to me like, I know that you got your alcoholism from our side of the family. Well, my dad had said there's a lot of alcoholism in his side of the family as well. So that's not necessarily true. But my mom would say things, but she wouldn't say her dad, but she would insinuate her dad. My grandmother was what they would call a teetotaler. She hated alcohol. She never drank. She hated it. She despised it. And she would say stuff about, like, your grandfather used to drink and stuff like that. So I have to believe that my grandfather was a heavy drinker. I don't know. He was kind of like a party guy a little bit, like tennis player, playboy, good looking, bartender type. Like, that's who he was. Like, when I see the pictures of him, it's always like him sitting or smoking a cigarette, real good looking guy, right? And so I just feel like there's, like, so much of the story that I don't understand. But I think it also, for me, isn't just about understanding the story of my grandma and whatever. I mean, it's like, it's intriguing to me, but I wasn't that close to my grandma. I think it's that it would explain to me who my mother was and why I am certain ways that I am now by how I was parented by her, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, but, like, and, like, Caroline and I had very different relationships. Like, my relationship with my mom was very different than her relationship with her mom, so maybe that's why Caroline's not as interested. The more we've talked about it lately, though, Caroline's more interested in it. But I don't know. I think also I feel like, especially after the phone calls today, I feel like the information is obtainable. And I feel like if I can find it, why not just get it and find it, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So it's weird because I didn't think that I grew up in a family of secret keeping. Like, that wasn't, like, I didn't go to people's houses and talk about my mother being an alcoholic. Like, that was a secret that we kept. But other than that, like, I was never taught, like, we don't take this outside of the home. Like, there were certain things that were kind of insinuated, like my mom's drinking and stuff like that. But that wasn't really the home that I grew up in. Both of my parents were, like, really pretty brutally honest about who they were as people. But I do know, I have a lot of friends of mine that grew up in homes where they were, like, indirectly or directly taught, like, we keep these things in our home. Like, you don't go outside your home and talk about it. So to then know that I came from a mother who pretty openly shared every aspect of her life, you know, except for her drinking and her alcoholism, and even her recovery later, she was very guarded about that because she didn't want other people to think poorly of a woman, a sober woman. Women still are stigmatized for their drinking today. Even if they're sober and they've been sober for 30 years, they're still stigmatized for that. That was really the only thing that my mom was ever, like, she would never even say, don't talk about it. She just was very, like, she kept it inside, a lot of it, right? But other than that, like, they didn't. So to think then that my mom and my aunt came from this family of, like, such huge secrets is, like, so bizarre to me, you know? I don't know, I'm just intrigued by it. So yeah, so I was, like, looked into that stuff last night, started making this list because I wanted to explain it to Caroline tomorrow when we meet and see if she's interested in it. And if she is, then we'll go do the stuff together. If not, then I'll do it on my own. And then I finished Worst Roommate Ever, which was truly true crime. It's not like, I don't know, each one of those stories was so tragic and so sad, but it's so detailed. Very interesting. If you like true crime, like Evil Lives Here, Murder Under the Friday Night Lights, Hell in the Heartland, I mean, it reminds me of those episodes. It is, like, and they're devastating stories. Very, very interesting. So, watched those last night, and then I went to bed. I struggled a little bit falling asleep last night, and then, the medicine's so weird that I take. It doesn't help me fall asleep at all. But when I fall asleep, like even when I get up to go to the bathroom, like I come back and I fall right back to sleep. And like I sleep deep. Like I sleep deep, 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 deep. I had weird dreams last night. At one point I was like, I need to write this down, and now I don't remember what the dream was. But it was a lot about like the stuff that I was looking into last night. I think that might have been when I was thinking to myself, like, Grandma was saying, like, look into this if you want, but, you know, you might find more than you want. Anyway, I don't know. Today was a good day. So I did made all those calls and stuff like that. And then filmed videos on all of my channels today, which I was very happy about. Spent a lot of time with Boo Radley. And, yeah, now I'm vlogging with you guys, talking to my neighbors. And once I get the vlog rendered, and I'm going to start uploading it, and then I think I'm going to take a walk. I think I'm going to start listening to the Misfortune book tonight. I was trying to figure out which book I want to listen to next. I think I'm going to listen to the Misfortune book and take a walk tonight. So, and try to eat healthier tonight. This has not been a good weekend. And then I came back from vacation. And I weighed myself this morning and I was not happy about it. It's not just a pound, it's a few that I put on. So, whatever. It is what it is. I know the things I need to do, and I'm excited about what I'm looking forward to in July with all that, and I'll share more of that on Thursday when I do my weight loss update. Oh, Thursday's 4th of July. I don't think we have any plans to do anything on 4th of July. So yeah, so I have more more to share about some plans that I have that I talked about yesterday for my weight loss journey, and I'm real excited about that. And it's going to be a good July. And today's my first day that I get a document in my book, so I got to figure out how I want to do that. Anyway, I'm going to get off here, and I hope that you guys are having a magically... I talked and talked and talked and talked about all that mom stuff, didn't I? You either found it extremely boring or maybe a little interesting. So anyway, if you guys are bored with it, say I'm bored with this in the comment section. And then I'll forget that I told you that and be like, how rude that they said that. No, but be like, Peter, I could care less about this family stuff, and then I won't share it anymore. I'll just do like a dedicated video when I know about certain things. But anyway, if you are interested, let me know, and I'll keep you guys updated as I find stuff out. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching and hanging out with me tonight. It's been so relaxing sitting out here. Yeah, I think it's too cold to go to the pool. She hasn't actually texted me about going to the pool, so she must not want to go to the pool either. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.